Welcome to Lights in the Night with your host, Russell Johnson. Uncover the truth about alien contact and hear from insiders who reveal the evidence. Stay tuned. Have you ever experienced something extraordinary? Seen something you were convinced could never be real? Share your alien stories and encounters with Russell on Lights in the Night by calling 888-994-4995 Studio A. Don't miss out on your chance to be a part of the answer.
Well, good afternoon. I should say evening. It's about 8:30, 8 o'clock. Welcome to Lights in the Night. And it's a show that we will be talking about some of the disclosures that will be coming for Dr. Greer. He's been out there for 25 years. Billy Carson, he's another person who has, and for the people who have been following alien activities or UFO, UAPs, the congressional hearings with Grush, G-R-U-S-H, David Grush, if you will. So he's been a whistleblower talking about what he's been through. So a lot of people be coming to the fore to talk about the issues that they have encountered. And I want people to call in. I want Freddie to talk about why you think it's important for people to have this discussion at this time.
Well, before that, Russell, if people want to call in on the show, it's 888-994-4995, Studio A. And Russell will answer whatever question he can to his ability, or send you to read up and get educated like he tells me every day. On the bottom also, there's going to be a screen of authors and books that Russell recommends. If you want more information, to get more information on the bottom of the screen. You know, I've been working with Russell for about 11 years, and I've been chasing this particular show in all its dimensions, because every time we try to do this, we never seem to be able to hit it.
Right.
Because people just, they don't want to be honest about what just happened. And Steve was kind enough to give us that picture that you saw.
Well, that's an awesome picture.
On that show.
Wow, that's very impressive. Very impressive.
Pool. Steve,
very
you
impressive.
were in your pool?
I was in my community pool. We were just laying down, and I noticed this object just in the sky. It wasn't moving. It was just there. I mean, it's not an airplane. It's not a helicopter. So I had to take a picture of it. And when I blew it up and I enlarged it, it looked like an airplane without wings. I'm like, what is that? I had no idea. Yeah, so.
And the amazing thing is, was it moving when you took it?
No.
Sitting there, huh?
But it had like a halo, and it had something around it, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. You know, somebody said it looks like it was Photoshop.
Could have been an energy
But
field.
it was directly from my phone, you know, and I took the picture, and it, I don't know. So till this day, I have no idea what that is. So.
And the funny thing, Russell, is that a lot of people, they don't want to disclose what they've seen.
Right.
Simply because they're afraid that people aren't going to take them seriously. Now, I got to ask Steve.
Right.
Because he came up with the first pictures for the show. And if you have pictures, you can send it to us. It's lightsinthe.org.
Yeah.
Is the email.
Yes.
Or you can call us and we'll make arrangements, because I want to get pictures, videos. I don't care what it looks like, and we'll play it on the show as well. But I got to ask Steve, have you ever had any kind of situation where you're taking more than just those two pictures?
I was on an airplane. I was heading down here to Florida from New York, and we were getting ready to land at West Palm Beach International. And I noticed that, you know, I was sitting in the window, and I always look at the ocean and the land and, you know, people's pools in the backyard and everything. But this time we were still flying over the ocean, and I decided, you know, want to look up. And when I looked up, there were two trails. And then they were, I was dismissing them as airplanes. And they were right near each other. And they were like on top of, the atmosphere, it looked like. But I realized that the planes don't fly so close to one another. You know, if they were big jets, I don't know, but I realized those were not airplanes. It has to be something else. Satellites don't leave trails like that. So I'm scratching my head. I wish I had that photograph on my phone. That was on a different phone, and I actually uploaded it to my laptop.
And you have that as
So
well?
I have that one on my
So
laptop.
I think we're going to twist this on to send us that for the next show.
I got
So
it.
we can put that on there, Russell.
Yeah.
And Russell, I mean, you got to give me something. You got to give me some kind of explanation. Why is it that all of a sudden there's more being seen?
Oh, yeah, well, okay, okay.
Why is that?
Okay. Well, this is the year of disclosure, 2024, I'm sorry. So up to this time, when you talk about people coming forward, the people who have seen UFOs, the people who are involved, the whistleblowers behind the scenes, those individuals at Area 51, S4, Grooms Lake, and people who have been read in, they weren't privileged, they weren't comfortable coming forward now. Because ever since the 1950s, and it's another book, I was just going through it, by a young lady who wrote a book that's phenomenal, Leslie Kean. She wrote a book called UFO, Pilots, Generals, etc. So she's done a heck of a lot of research, and if you go back to the New York Times, the expose she did of December of 2017, that's very important to get that. But her book has come out after that, and she's really done a deep dig on all the history. But to answer your question specifically, that the government had a shutdown on all the people who have visited UFOs, who had any information on UFOs, or knew anything about it, or who had been abducted or visited or contacted by any alien species. They were afraid to come forth because you had the men in black would come and get you and shut you down. Even the astronauts who were on Apollo, the Gemini product or the Apollo project, even though they saw something, but when they came back, they had shut up. They could not talk about it. Buzz Aldrin, Cooper, all the rest of them, Mitchell, they could not say anything because they were threatened that if you say anything, that you signed this DNA, this you can't talk about anything.
The non-disclosure.
Right.
Can
It's
I
f-
ask you why you feel that now is the time for us to?
Well,
I
it's
know
the-
you had mentioned
well,
something to me.
Okay, because you're out talking about it. You got Lyndon Newton Howell. You have
Right.
the great-great-granddaughter of Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, Lyndon Eisenhower. And you got, Elizabeth April, all these people coming forth now. The psychics, the people who are clairvoyant, the people who are doing remote viewing, the people who are in contact with the Galactic Command, all of these people are coming to the fore because the universe says, no more secrets. This is the year of no more secrets. So all the stuff that has been hidden must come to the fore now, must come to the reality because we have to wake up.
Do you feel the disclosure is coming very soon?
No, this is
disclosure?
it.
Yeah.
This is
right.
the year
So-
between 2024 and 20. When you look at Bashar, you listen to Bashar,
Yes,
right?
I do. Yeah.
So he's saying by 2027, the aliens will come and visit us in force, whether they end up on the White House lawn like the motion picture the day after the world stood still,
Right.
back in the 50s, and a remake of it that with Tom. What's it got?
Cruise?
Tom Cruise. Yeah.
You read that?
So it's all the secrets that the Pentagon has been holding back and hiding, the Secret Space Force, my labs, all the people who have been hiding all the secrets, they got to give it up now. There are no more secrets about this because the aliens are just tired of. They're here on the planet, been here for many years. They made us, number one, if you go back to listen to Billy Carson and talk about the Anunnaki and the Sumerian civilization, if you will. So there's a lot of information that we are an experiment.
It's funny because he tells me you gotta study. You gotta do your research. So what I did over the weekend,
Right.
I looked up alien movies
Okay.
from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And do you know that those movies were made and they're labeled as scripture movies because nobody wanted to say that it was alien study. So they put it as phenomenon.
True.
And they used the Bible because back in the day they used to say the Bible said this and they made a movie around it.
Right.
But the scripture was one way of telling people, get educated as to what's going on. Russell had a show at the radio station with me about 10 years ago, and there was a captain or a lieutenant from a B-52 bomber. And he came upstairs and he waited to be to talk to Russell for an hour. And he says, listen, if I don't tell him what I saw now, I'm never going to because you're probably never going to see me again. And he went on the air and he told the public what happened and what he saw flying the B-52 bomber. And they swore him to secrecy, not to reveal it. And he did it that day.
Right.
I have a question. You think because many people now that were around in those days are getting much older, and as they get older, although they've been sworn to secrecy, we get many more whistleblowers today because
Right.
they're getting to the end of this lifetime.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking about that. That's why they're coming more forward today, right?
Yeah. Even some of the astronauts like Buzz Aldrin, who he flew to Antarctica and he saw what they have down in Antarctica. As a matter of fact, we could talk about that a little bit. But anyway, he got sick down there and they flew him out. And he's ready to come and talk about some things now. And he's 94 years old.
Right.
And coming from that source,
Right.
what are you going to say? He's lying?
Exactly.
No, look, if you look at the history with Project Blue Book, Project Grudge, on and on and on, all the secret information that they have been holding back from us, they just thought that we weren't ready to conceive about the possibility that there are other species in the universe. They were hiding from us. So going back to the book by Leslie Keene, if she has a chapter in there that talked about the federal government, said the CIA, FBI, and all that, I mean NSA, they said we can't tell those people about what's really happened on the planet. They are not ready. It's like going back to 1938 when Orson Welles did the story, The War of the Worlds, that, and everybody got frightened about that. And they thought that, don't tell them yet because they can't handle the truth at this time. But now, I think, even though the aliens have been on this planet for a long time and visiting and still visiting, even though some of them have met with like President Eisenhower back in 1954 at Holloman Air Force Base. I mean, that's documented. And made a deal that we will continue to abduct the people and exchange for some of the technology we will give you. So all of that's part of history. And even his great-great-granddaughter, Laura Eisenhower, if you Google her, she'll tell you about that conversation that he had and why he was not ready to agree that they would come forward and tell us that they were here, that they had been
Russell,
visiting
but
here.
then why us? Have they been to other countries like Russia? They've been to China?
Of course.
So
It's
they made deals with everybody.
But one of the big reports that you might want to is called a Cometa, C-O-M-E-T-A, Cometa report that the French put out. All the generals, all the FBI people, all the secret agents, they put together a report about 5 years ago. You might want to pick that up. They say that, in fact, aliens have been here, they are here, and they are among us. So now the United States is coming forward to do the same thing.
Are they exposing the secret space program or?
Well, yeah, but
wasn't
we have the secret space force that's
Right.
been in existence since 1947. The MJ-12, when Truman put together the MJ-12, the secret space group that holds all this stuff, and he put together the NSA and the CIA at the same time in the same year. Now, they got pretty rogue and wouldn't give Kennedy any information that he was asking for, or they even told Eisenhower, you can't have the information. And he said, well, no, I'm president of the United States. And Kennedy did say, I'm president of the United States. You got to give me. He said, no, we're not going to give you anything. Because they are controlled at Area 51. They controlled S4. They control Grooms Lake. And they've been back engineering, like the Roswell crash of 1947 and other crashes. They got about 120 downed craft that they have. They've been back engineering. And they have given it to the corporations, General Electric, Scott Works and all of that. And if you want to look at the history of all of this, go to The Lost Century. You can Google that. Dr. Greer put that together, and he explains everything in the last 100 years that the government has been hiding from the people of the earth.
And they're hiding the truth simply because they think we can't
That's number one.
control it.
The number one. And they don't want, well, the cabal, the Illuminati, the people who have the secret government, they really don't want you to know what they know, because they want you to think that they are the controllers of the world and you beholding to us. And so if you need permission to do anything, you got to come to us and not any outside person like an alien from Mars or the Jupiter or the Andromeda or someplace like that. They don't want you to know that there's a more superior entity out there. They want you to look at, it's called power. Pay attention to me. If you need anything, you got to come to me. I'm the voice of reason. I'm the voice of helping you to have a good life, economically, politically, socially, psychologically, religiously. So you need to look at that. But I'm saying that you need to do your homework in the sense that the people who have done the homework, like Greer, Dr. Greer, he has the Disclosure Project, and he's been doing this for 35 years, night and day, 24 hours a day. Then you got Billy Carson, who has number four, Bending Knowledge. His podcast has hundreds of thousands of people listening to him every day, and he's done a lot of research about how the entity, like the human being, has been created by the Anunnaki and other species that have come down and interface with human beings and, interbreed with us and made us. We the hybrid, we the experimental entity in the cul-de-sac, so to speak.
Russ, do you think right now, this is what I'm feeling, but I'd like to ask you if you're feeling the same. Right now, disclosure is coming about
It's
very
coming.
soon.
Whether
And they
we
have
like-
given us what I learned from you to say soft disclosure.
Yeah, but
because-
whether you like it or not, this disclosure is happening. But the Pentagon and the people with the Secret Space Force, they are going to just give you little bits at a time. They don't want you to, you can't eat the whole elephant they have, right? So they're going to give you a little bit at a time. But I would go to, if you want to be really caught abreast of the information, I would go to Billy Carson's podcast. I would go to Dr. Stephen Greer's podcast. And these people, I would go to Linda Moulton Howell. She has a show called Truth Seekers on Gaia. I would go to Gaia, listen to Cosmic Connections, or Beyond Belief with George Norrie. These people have a lot of information because they do a lot of research. You got to do a lot of research and you got to do a lot of reading. That's the only way you're going to know what's going on planet Earth. Is that simple?
Do you feel we're ready to take this now?
Whether you're ready or not, here they come.
It's going to be happening,
No,
yeah.
no, here they come. The Greys, the Reptilians, and the Nordics, and they're not going to hide forever. They say you people are going to have to wake up because Mother Earth is mad at us because we got chaos and fighting among each other, and they're diabolical against the people who are good people. The people who are benevolent against the people who are benevolent, right? The people want people to be free and have food, clothing, shelter, information, medical care, and the other people don't want them to have that. I mean, so it's a big fight. Go back to Ephesians 6:12. It's about the principalities. It's a war going on the planet. So that's the big deal.
And Russell's asking you to do your research.
You got to do your homework.
Before you take any sides, good, better, and different. He's asking that you learn about what's around you.
Yeah.
Because given the opportunity, you can't say you haven't. I mean, you have evidence. And if people want to say, well, that's a mock picture, well, then do some research and find out what's going on. I've known you for years. If you continue to try,
Well, I don't want to be a spokesperson. I don't want to be the messenger. This show, I'm doing more talking than I really want to do. What I want to do is get Dr. Greer, Billy Carson, Linda Newton Howell, Laura Eisenhower, uh, uh, David Icke.
Right. Yeah,
David Icke
it's very
or
important.
David, or, you know, get them on the program. Let them talk. All I want to do is ask questions and let them talk. I mean, obviously, I got about 50 books at home I go through from time to time, but that's not important for me to be the mouthpiece. I don't want to be the mouthpiece. I want to be the interviewer of a show that I interview you, and say, what do you think? What do you see? And what are your experiences are?
But
That's
your
what I
role
wanna
is
do.
very important, Russ. I want
No,
to tell
but
you that.
well,
But in order, even if it's just to ask
I
questions,
just want to have
you're
a show
spreading
where
the
people
word.
can have a microphone that they talk to each other and talk to
well, the
themselves.
funny thing is that nobody would be courageous enough to do this.
I'm sorry?
People won't jump out and say, "Let me tell you my story." Like he sent the picture. Now
Right.
you have. I heard you had a story or two about alien life in your past. No.
I have had unexplained situations. Even in the last place I lived in, I don't know. I don't know if it was an alien or a spirit or a ghost or whatever it is, but when I would, I would live downstairs. The restroom I used was upstairs, and it's dark. I would come out of the restroom, turn the lights off, walk down the stairs. But almost every night I did this, there was a white image. It was like almost like a white shadow instead of a dark shadow. It was a white shadow. Would stand up. There was no chair there. But I would stand up and I would notice it was almost like following me down the stairs. Like, I have no idea who you are. I have no idea what you are. Don't follow me into my bedroom. So,
So
and
you-
it just went on for, the 2 years I lived there.
So you might have been abducted. Listen,
That's possible. I have
the
no idea.
estimate is that about 8 million people alone in the United States have been abducted. Now, do you remember all of it? No, because they erase your memory.
Right.
Come on. They're not going to let you remember. Because it's, to be abducted and remember what happened to you, like in the motion picture Fire in the Sky,
Right.
like in the motion picture Communion, or the one they did at Nome, Alaska called The Fourth Kind, right? If you watch those motion pictures, you could be frightened, and most people are frightened. So like they were frightened back in the War of the Worlds when
Oh yeah, Orson Welles.
well,
Right?
Orson Welles in 1938.
That's right.
People jumping out of the cars, jumping out of windows, calling the police department, what's going on? So even the motion picture War of the Worlds.
Well,
Look,
that's the thing. They see a movie, they hear something on the radio, they think it's reality. It's not. It's a story.
but some of it is reality.
Well,
Look,
that was a whole production.
okay, no, I would agree
Yeah.
with that. But when you look at the Steven Spielberg, how many motion pictures has he done dealing with aliens? How many? At least 20.
At least.
And then you got E.T., you got all the AI, you got the Men in Black. I mean, how about Taken? Taken is a 13-and-a-half-hour television series that he did. I don't know how many people watched that. 13 and a half hours.
Right.
It was on television. I've watched it. It's about 20, 25 years old
Russ,
now.
do you feel that they're letting us talk more? I mean, basically, they do have the control because it's up to us what we
You
they
are
remember.
controlled.
So,
Listen,
do you think they're
the-
opening up a little bit more to us
Well,
now to give
a little
these
bit at a
stories
time.
out?
A little
right.
bit at a time.
Okay.
They're trying to give you a little. They trying to give you little seeds of knowledge, because the aliens, the Greys, reptilians, the Nordics, the tall whites, the Reptorians. I mean, there are about thousands and thousands of them coming to this planet to observe us. We can't see them because they're on a different frequency.
Yeah, so-
Did you see what happened January 1st, 2024, at the Bayview Mall in Miami? Did you see that? Anybody see that?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
pictures they showed of what happened in Miami.
Okay.
There
Well, punch
was-
it up.
All right.
100 police cars came out. They
Yeah.
closed down the mall.
Right.
And they closed down the airwaves over the mall. And
So-
61,000 people went without electricity.
Yeah.
So, but punch that up. Do Google
We're gonna do
that.
that tonight. Yeah.
And when when the aliens came through the mall, right? 10-foot aliens came through the mall, and
Right.
people saw them. Then Elizabeth April said that if you do the coordinates, the longitude and the latitude of the Bayview Mall,
Right.
where does it go? If you reverse it, it goes to Antarctica. Now, what's in Antarctica? Do you have any idea what's in
Yeah.
Antarctica?
Well, besides all the snow and ice,
No.
you got the
No,
whole
there's-
land underneath.
No.
You got
Underneath.
a pyramid down
No,
there.
you got. Well, do you know the Germans took over Antarctica in 1941,
Yes.
1942?
Yes.
And they've been there. They got all the aliens down
Isn't
there.
the
And they got
big-
all the spaceships
What they
there.
call the mothership is
and
down there
they have
too. the big-
motherships
yeah.
there, and they have hundreds of thousands of people they brought from Germany to
Right.
Antarctica
Right.
to build it up, and they're still down there, and they're in charge. That's what's in Antarctica. And if you want to look at what's in Antarctica, look at Michael Seller, his books, and he tells you what's there. Michael Seller, he does a podcast called Exopolitics.
Okay.
So we got to do our homework. I mean, we just can't just sit back and wait for everybody just to feed us. We got,
And weren't you the one that told me that we have some kind of interplanetary ships going back and forth right now?
Absolutely, got 3 of them. And if you go to Linda Newton Howe, Howe, right? And she'll tell you the names of those ships, and those ships have been out there since 2003. And they go from planet to planet to planet, and they are built, owned, and directed by the people in the Secret Space Force here in the United States.
Do
Russ,
we
is
know
it
what
really-
they're doing, Russell?
Well, they making sure they conquer whatever planets they go to. You know, we like what, warriors, military industrial. they always concentrate on how we can control the planets. I mean, if you go to a book called Selected by Extraterrestrials by William Tompkins, he's 94. He just left here, but he was contacted by the aliens in 1942. And they gave him a lot of information, so he helped build those spaceships, right? So that's documented. It's all documented. It's all in the books. It's a 3-volume series. Read that.
These are credible
Amazing.
people. I mean, what you
No,
always
this is the
mention
real
it, right?
deal. People just don't know. The information is NBC, CBS,
Right.
ABC, CNN is not going to give you this kind of stuff. Why? Because ABC, CBS, NBC are controlled by BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Now they control everything the media says and do. Come on.
But they'll only
We-
allow you to disclose so much, right?
Just a little bit, not much. They're not going to put too much on ABC,
No.
CBS, and NBC right
No,
now.
they rather sell it as something where you can have some popcorn and it becomes a Marvel comic.
Yeah,
Right.
They rather make it so that it becomes entertainment,
but
Right.
not serious
you got
information.
to be a researcher. You got to dig into this. This is
I
real.
want to tell you, a lot of these people, the Spielbergs, the Roddenberrys, the
Sure.
George Lucas,
Sure,
they get all their information from NASA.
absolutely. Or some
but now,
whistleblower.
but now NASA,
Or
I
some-
just got a thing from my son who works there. They have no explanation and no more
They're not going to give you
excuses
anymore.
that they can make anymore. They'd rather not say anything. They can't
There's
explain.
going to be no diggers nada.
That's right. They cannot explain anymore. They can't lie anymore. They says, you know what? We stop giving excuses. And they told the
Absolutely.
government this.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, each week on this program, I hope to bring to the microphone the people who have done the research and put them on the air, and we will ask them the questions. And so that's going to be the show.
Looking forward to that.
Not
I
for
am
me
too.
being the mouthpiece. I'm not going to be the messenger.
Yeah, but you know, somewhere we need to learn just to open the door. And Russell, you're opening the door. Because
Right.
I've never, in all the years I've done this, I have never done a show where I'm able to ask a question freely.
Right.
Because I'm talking to people who understand
Right.
what I'm asking.
People are curious. People are going to be more and more curious because the people who are psychics, who are mediums, who do remote viewing, who do mental telepathy, they are going to come to the and meet and the people who are going to be channelers are coming to the world to tell us what's going on by the Galactic Command. It's going to happen.
Exactly.
100%. If you have information you want to share with Russell, again, it's lightsinthe.org. You can call in 888-994-4995. You can call us up and we'll set it up so we can get your pictures, videos, or just call in. I know that we had a phone call. Pete, I'm sorry we didn't get to you. It just flew by. I forgot about the phone call, but I promise to have you next week. You'll call back.
And make sure he's first.
Yes, and he'll be
I'm sorry
first.
about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Listen, we just got intense. What can I tell you?
Well, you know, listen, we
It
try
does
to get-
happen.
No,
Good conversation.
But we want him to participate, though.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we're looking for. More participation. Come to the studio, catch both shows, and be part of what we're trying to do here is to educate and give you a platform so you can tell us your stories. All right, you ready to go, buddy?
Yeah, well, yeah, listen.
All right, we'll
close
see
it
you.
out.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you very much for listening. It's a pleasure to have had you to listen to call us, ask questions. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you for joining us on Lights in the Night. Keep your eyes on the skies and stay curious. Until next time, good night.